Alright everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Harmonious Engineering Let's Play series. So today we're going to spice up our base a little bit. I was going to do a big old building montage, but it actually ended up taking me about 3.5 hours, and so I didn't think that there would be any value in however fast that would have to be to fit in. So I'm just going to do the big reveal now. This over here is our new factory. So this factory has been built out of a lot of engineers' decor blocks like clinker bricks. There is also a significant amount of hempcrete and tuff. I wanted to use tuff in places where it would be sort of like a large swath or a large area of the same material. Just because to me it at least makes the most sense to use something that can connect together, or at least tiles very nicely, whereas these have very clear borders, and the hempcrete borders cannot be, well, they can't be hidden. So yeah, I do want to play around a little bit with, I kind of like that, but I might put that directly on like so. Yeah, I think I like that a lot. But I wanted to play around with some lighting, and I wanted to get some machinery moved over. Mostly, obviously, the blast furnace and the coke oven have been moved already, but I have not yet moved our crusher. So I wanted to do that. I've been, oh, apparently, is that where the other wandering, or the other trader llama went to? Whoops. I've been wandering around trying to clean everything up a little bit. As you can see, this guy is almost completely full, and I still have all of this to put in there. So we are in a slight pickle. I guess these don't have to go in there. They can go stay in here. But for the most part, though, our base will be able to be cleaned up significantly. And I really, again, I really cannot emphasize enough how much I like how this turned out. So going through everything we did here, we basically have a bunch of these dark shingle roof slab slices, so that if we, I'll show you a secret by the way, you can kind of glitch your way up these and climb them a little bit sometimes, I find. Maybe not so much now. That might have actually been fixed recently with the whole train update. Yeah, okay, looks like it was. Well, you can kind of see what I mean though, like the movement is at least a little bit glitchy. I was trying to show you, or get a good enough vantage point to show you what I've done. Maybe up here we can see it a little bit. But it is a single thin sheet of roof. I don't love this. I'll probably go back and replace this. This is probably the only piece that I don't love about this build. Everything else, though, I do actually really like how it turned out. These clanker bricks that you can make, are they clanker or clinker? Clinker bricks that you can make from Engineer's Decor. They're really lovely because they have variated texturing, so they don't repeat the same sprite over and over and over. I also used metal girders from Create wherever possible to add support. And this is a slightly weird shaped build because it is 2 blocks. So this lower level here is not only is it 2 levels, but the lower level is 2 blocks on each side more narrow than the upper level. So that kind of caused for some areas where I could either have a whole bunch of logs bundled together and causing kind of a eyesore of logs kind of all on top of each other, or I could do what I did, which was just kind of have them have one leading log and then have everything else maintained or supported here by a metal girder like I did. And I really like the approach that I took. I think it looks quite a bit different from how I usually build. The only thing that I didn't do for the roof as just these slab slices are for the transitionary area. This is all just slabs, so it converts from full blocks to slabs, and you can see a little bit of it poking in through there. You can see that I have predefined the areas up here, so we're going to put our metal presses in here. So these are 3 block wide spaces. I figured we would have enough for putting a gap in between each, so we could put quite a bit of stuff in here. 6, 7, 8. How is this an even number? Uh-oh, we might be in trouble. I think I messed something up here. We may have messed something up. Okay, this was supposed to be... Don't know how I managed to get that far. I may have to shift the little this layered tuff over a block. I wasn't really sure what to do for the transition between where it's a wall and where it is a floor. So I just kind of made something up, and it looks like that may not have worked out in our favor after all. We can really quickly fix that though. I was gonna say I should have some tuff somewhere, and this scoria can in fact go back there. And I did notice a spot where I put a normal brick down that was supposed to be a clinker brick, so let's also quickly fix that. And that was right here. You can really tell. It's kind of upsetting, but you can very much tell. So at this point, there's only one. There's two challenges. One is that I don't have enough stone cutters. The other is I don't know what to do for lighting, so maybe we should figure that out as well. So there are a couple of different light sources from the various mods we have. There is, of course, the various Infernal Expansion lanterns and lights. There are lights from Engineer's Decor, which might be worth looking into, so maybe we bookmark those. In fact, I think I only have to bookmark one of them, which is the inset light. I believe, if I remember correctly, all the other ones, yeah, you can see it's just a cycling recipe. So that makes it very easy. The lights from Dave's Building Extended are also very good looking. I don't remember how big they are, though, so we might play with that really quickly and then kind of get a refresher on that scale for the texture, for the model itself, because I like full size or normal sized lanterns. I don't like tiny ones. So something like this is actually very nice, at least to me. I think that that's pretty nice. So I'll probably make a couple of those because if I remember correctly, the inset lights are relatively small. So we can go ahead and dedicate ourselves to like maybe 7 of those to get ourselves about a half a stack of these, because I think that would really accentuate our base a lot. And I don't remember how to make the other lights. Oh, you just dye them when you craft them. Well, that's okay. I didn't really want the other colors. I just wanted this one anyway. I don't know. One other concern of mine is I don't know how much light these do emit. I think it's a full... Yeah, okay. It emits a standard light level. Good, good. We'd like to see that. So let me grab my stone cutter and let's go handle our last few touches to our little base here. So our goal is to be able to have enough space here to kind of do anything, right? So we were going to do a lot in immersive engineering and in some of the other mods, and so I want to have enough space to be able to handle that and not run out of space or run into any things that I'd maybe tear down because I don't have enough space for the next thing. Because I run into that a lot with modded, where it's like I want to move on or want to move into something different, but I can't because I'm out of space. And it's kind of annoying, to be honest, when you're having to confront this kind of issue. There we go. I think that works, and that will make this even. And I wasn't really sure what to do for this area. I may replace the glass with fencing. I'm really looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say about what I do here and how I proceed to do things here, because I'm not really sold on anything, so I'm always looking for input. So what we can do in this pack is if we hit F7, we can actually see areas where mobs can spawn. At least we're supposed to. Maybe it doesn't work through the glass. Let's see. There we go. So F7 will show us little yellow X's where mobs can spawn whenever the sun is down. And so what I'm going to do is knock out all of our torches, and let's start to investigate what these areas are going to look like without their own lighting. So you can see a lot of that space over there is going to be affected. And I'm sure most of this upstairs area is going to be heavily affected as well. Yep. Okay, great. Great. This is what I wanted to check. So for the arc furnace, I don't want to crowd it at all. So I'm going to put our little lights up there. And we can do the same thing over here. I actually really like how these look on the wall. So we'll just keep them on the wall, I think. I don't personally have any concerns one way or another. And now it looks like this upper area is spawn-proofed. And for the lower area, we could do them on the roof, like here and here. Hopefully that is enough. I think so. The new mob spawning requirements makes this a whole lot easier to keep lit up, but I also, you know, there's a light level that I also just like to sort of have whenever possible. And because of how much just brick texture is going on here, in fact, I wonder... No, yeah, it is kind of necessary. I think I'll do those two there as well. And so that's this entire place nicely lit without using any torches, and I think that looks pretty good. So at this point, I'd like to get our crusher hooked up, and we're going to run into a couple of issues as we move this over. I'm going to... Actually, we'll deal with that in a minute. I'm going to go and tear this down really quickly. We can rebuild it as we go. So what I will do is just take piece by piece, layer by layer. I may also quickly take a nap, just so that we're not bothered while we're doing this. And I'm going to take each one of these layers, and as we build this out, right, remember we have a 5 by 3 by 3 structure. I'm just going to start this on the right side and build it from right to left. Helps if I put it in the right position. Really not doing well with my numbers today, right? Because it is 1, 2... No, yeah, that was correct. Just felt like it was supposed to take up more space, but with the... Hang on. Wait. So it is... Since this is now... It's really throwing me off the spacing here. Okay, yeah. So the spacing of these probably should change because they're a little bit weird now. I don't know. I did again. You can tell that I clearly messed a little bit of a something thing or a little thing up here and there, but hey, it's not that big of a deal. But I'm going to go ahead and move things over layer by layer until our crusher has been relocated, and then we can reform our crushing wheel, and I'll show you how I plan on getting any sort of power in here because that is most certainly the question, isn't it? How are we going to even power this thing? Well, we'll find out. You can also use the hammer to tear down a lot of multi-block structures from immersive engineering. My word of warning is that if you're going to tear down immersive engineering multi-block using a hammer, disassemble the multi-block with a pickaxe first. In other words, turn the multi-block back into its standard parts first by breaking it with a normal pick, and then you can break those blocks with a hammer. I find that if you don't, then whichever block you broke first will actually end up not spawning back in for you to use, basically. So yeah, just my little piece of advice for you there. Let me go ahead and get these back down, and we will continue. All right, so that should get us our... What am I missing? What did I do? Yes. This should get us our... There we go. Whoop. Our crusher. And to be honest, it doesn't look too terribly out of place in here with the space that we've given it. I think that's part of why I gave it so much space, is just to keep this from feeling too cramped. Again, the whole window situation is causing a bit of an annoyance. What I could do, one of the things that I do a lot, and you can kind of see it every now and then, is I will go through, like I did on my house over here with the storage room, and build up blocks up to like the top layer, and then gradually transform them into windows. So I might do that for these upper layers because these are just giant machines anyway. There's not really a lot to see. So I could do that. I could also sort of rearrange the other little bits and bobs. I'm not really sure though. Given the space, let me think. If we did every other one, we would not have enough space. Okay. We may end up taking this back piece of this build and pushing it back a block. I think that'd be a lot easier than trying to take everything and push it forward a block. Plus, you know, the more space, the better. So I might do that really quickly. All right, so I have gone through and replaced everything. I scooted this whole thing back as promised. I made a couple of aesthetic choices and changes as well when I did this. Like I moved these up a block rather than building out wooden supports for that section. Just to kind of clean things up a little bit. It was getting a little cluttered again. So now that this guy is in, you can see that the platform is now an even number of blocks. We can see that this is set up beautifully. Now we're going to run into a couple of issues with this setup, and you probably are already thinking of one, and that's, well, wondering how I'm going to get any sort of wiring in there. Well, the way we're going to do this, let's go ahead and grab what we can. I believe that's what we've got. We'll do one of these as well with our spare fabric and wiring. I'll go and bring the rest of that with me just in case. And I'm going to need 2 LV wire connectors, and I'll show you why. So there is and I'll leave this here for now, but you'll see where this is headed. There is a feature in immersive engineering that allows you to pass wires through a block. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do exactly that, And I'm trying to figure out where I'd like to do that. And I think I might just choose this corner here. And so what I can do is I can right click here and put a connector. And keep in mind that connectors are usually going to go into machines. And this is not a machine, so you might be a little lost. And if you are, that's totally to be expected. That makes this does not make a lot of sense at first, but it's about to. So there is what's called a feed-through insulator, where we can go through and go to the other side of this block. Remember, right over here, you can kind of see it peeking through there. There is our connector. If I put another connector on this side and then whack the connector with a hammer, you can see it flickered for just a second. And now you can see the feed-through insulator is active. And you can see that there's a little connector inside there that is inside of the block that we started with. And you can see that when I hover over this, at the top it says clinker brick block. And if I look at this one, it says feed-through insulator. So now we can use this to pass our energy inside of the interior of this build. And that is exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm going to try to keep my wiring as high up as possible because I don't want to run into any issues with cables drooping or dangling a little bit lower than would be ideal. So to avoid that, we can do this right here. Go from U to U, hopefully. Yep, okay. And then go from here to here. And this I'm going to keep where it is because we're going to use this sort of as the central hub. And then we can go from here. I'm going to move this and make it, let's see. So this should be lined up with that first brick pillar. So we'll do another one here, lined up with the first brick pillar so that we're keeping our symmetry. Of course, it would help if I actually kept the symmetry. And of course, by using the insulated cabling, we're still safe, even if we did get hit with something, but better safe than sorry. And now you can see that everything is running, and our crusher over here is going to start filling up with forge energy, or flux, or whatever you decide to call it. And we're in good shape for our crusher to run again. So we should be able to see just fine how things are going to run. Now I'm going to optimize my wiring here a little bit. First things first, if I grab this fourth one, I can turn batches of 4 into insulated. So we'll go ahead and turn this other batch as well, because the insulated wiring is just a little bit better at transferring energy, if I remember correctly. And at the very least, it's just better for the for the risk of the player. And then I'm going to set this guy up here. I think what we could do is we could do from here, and or we could put it just here as is. Maybe we put it right there. And you don't have to extend these out, so I might just not for this one and go straight here. One pro tip, if you want to link to multiple places, what you can do is you could just split this up. So let's say I wanted to link from here to 5 other connectors instead of just these 2, then I could just take 5 of them and then keep linking them, because that link data is going to be stored in the actual item itself. And if you want to stop linking, I believe you just try to attach it back to itself, and you'll see, of course, you're going to get an issue, but that will cancel the link and reset the data. So now we can go ahead and connect that there. And with all of our new insulated wire, we are going to be transferring things a little bit more effectively, and all will be completely safe to walk through. So that is our crusher completely relocated, and all of our crushing functionality has also been relocated. Let's go ahead and take a golden barrel and put it back where we wanted to have this and start crushing up a couple more resources, because there's a lot left that I need to process. Let's see if we can get some of this zinc processed. And if we look here, we're still going to keep up with our same levels that we had before for our energy, because nothing's changed. We're still producing the same exact amount of energy that we were before. The only thing that's different is that it is inside of a building now. And that is exactly what I wanted. It's exactly what we wanted to see here. So I'm going to go and put these back in here. As you can see, we've been accruing a good bit of dust, and I've been processing what I can whenever I can. So we are doing pretty well on resources at the moment. This can go away. We'll go through and clean up this little area soon. I'll put a proper little pathway up to here and maybe put another set of stairs. That way we don't have to jump around. But I think right now it would be a good idea to look into taking a look further into thermal, Because if we look at the quest book, I'm sorry, I said thermal, I meant immersive engineering. If you take a look at the quest book, there are a couple of machines left in this quest, as well as a couple of voltage tiers that we still have left to take a look at as well. And at the moment, again, I'm just going through and taking anything that I've got and just processing it over here. I will probably end up, like I said, making a couple of those smelters, maybe in the factory, since the factory is just that much closer now. But yeah, and please again, let me know what you think in the comments for this build, because I don't know. The roof is the only thing I don't like, and I don't know what to do with it. So if you have any material thoughts, you know what I should use in place of the slate, please let me know. I was kind of wanting to do sheet metal. I think like an iron sheet metal, something bright, would look perfect. But I didn't want to waste all that iron if it wasn't going to work out. So, taking a look at our next few quests, the biggest one really for us is to get into brass production using an induction smelter. Now, this is a bit of a process, and we're going to need to make a couple of things between point A and point B. So maybe we revisit that component shortly and start looking into creating a metal press, because I think a metal press is going to help us go a long ways. We do have our mechanical press over here, and this can do basic pressing. It's just going to flatten out anything you put underneath it, and that is not really all that helpful, to be honest. Also, did zinc get a new texture again? I don't recognize it looking like this. I like it though. So as you can see, we're going to need for our arc furnace, we're going to need one of these metal presses to create an arc furnace from hop graphite. And we've given ourselves a good amount of space in our new area, as well as just kind of over here, to do a lot of our processing and to do a lot of this recipe crafting and machine production. So we're probably going to set up a couple of our metal presses all together. And what I'm not sure on, I did say that I wanted to have my metal presses up here in like a nice distributed interval. We could still do that, and I don't see any issue with that, but we could also sneak them down here if we wanted to, and put a couple of them directly alongside these the blast furnace and the coke oven. We might also be able to sneak them into this little wall space here if we wanted to, and have like one or two of them in the space here. That way the space isn't completely wasted, because it's not doing anything at the moment, as you can no doubt tell. So I really don't know how to proceed there. So taking a look at the metal press, though, there's a good bit that we're going to need for it. The metal press is going to require some more steel scaffolding. We're also going to need some conveyor belts, a redstone engineering block, and a handful of other components. So let's go ahead and get a couple of these things put away. We'll take anything from immersive engineering and toss that in there. Go ahead and put the things that we don't need away for now. The lever, of course, can go in there. And as mentioned, we've been processing up our ores. So now we have what looks to be a pretty healthy supply of resources. And this brings me a great deal of joy to see. Just more than 2 stacks of iron, realistically, is still just a lot to me. That does remind me, I should make some new shears. I have broken mine. And so now, the metal press, we're going to need a piston, which we happen to have already. We're going to need some steel scaffolding. Okay, we have exactly 2. We needed 2 of those. We need 1 redstone engineering block. We need 1 heavy engineering block. The heavy engineering block is going to be made like so. We're going to need some electrum. Don't fear, I think we can make electrum still, but that is going to cost us some steel as well. And then, once we have that done, we will only need 2 conveyor belts, and then we'll be done. Conveyor belts are still leather and iron and redstone. Yes, good. So this is a pretty standard recipe. Oh, I did happen to get a wandering trader selling a globe, so I purchased that globe and used some of the antique ink over here to turn that globe into a sepia globe. And if you see my pickaxe flickering, that is a result of the Yang enchantment. I believe it's Yang. I always get them mixed up. Yeah, Yang. Cool. So, let's go ahead and get these steel ingots pressed down. I've grabbed 1 silver, and you will see why in just a moment. We're going to need to make ourselves some of that electrum that I mentioned previously. And electrum can be made in a couple of ways. It is normally considered an alloy, and it is an alloy, but there are a handful of ways to make such an alloy. You can superheat the materials individually and let them melt together and form a molten alloy together. But the way that we have access to at the moment, shy of an arc furnace, which we don't have access to, as you can probably figure out on your own, is to use our crushing wheel here. So what I might do, I want you to stop processing. So I'm gonna do this. Did I just lose all that zinc? I don't know. I think I might have just lost all that zinc. Oh well. Fortunately, zinc is not something we need a absolute ton of, so lessons learned. But if I take this gold and I toss it in, and I take the silver ingot and I toss it in, we can turn the gold into dust and the silver into dust. And when combined, we can make an alloy blend. And this alloy blend, when cooked, will produce for us the electrum ingots that we require for this recipe. I'm a little surprised that immersive doesn't handle breaking the multi-blocks while processing. That seems like a, I wouldn't say easy thing, but definitely seems like something that I'm a little surprised is not a built-in component. That said, if you interrupted any machinery midway through processing, you're probably going to end up with an unhappy machine and a bunch of materials destroyed. So that's going to get us the heavy engineering block. It actually gets us 4, which I think is probably the most expensive component for these. So as we make more of these metal presses, it will be significantly cheaper and easier to do so. And in fact, we might want to go ahead and do a couple of them at once here in the next few minutes, but for now, I'm just going to keep things simple. I'm also going to grab myself a chest because we want somewhere for everything to output into, and I will grab some treated wood just to kind of keep things looking nice. Ah, right, and I also need a way to hook this up to electricity because we're going to be producing or requiring a decent bit, a supply for sure. So let's go ahead and get this guy set up. So to produce ourselves a metal press, okay, that's what I could not remember. We're going to need 2 steel scaffolding, then conveyor belts that go from point A to point B. So make sure that these are pointing in the direction you want the conveyor belts to actually go. I want to toss in items from the front and have them come around the back. Don't know why that caused me to do that, but okay. And what I'll do is we'll set up a little setup here that will allow this to loop around into a chest. And so what this will do is anytime something falls on a conveyor belt and goes into a chest, it will actually go directly in, which is ideal. Now we'll put our redstone engineering block there. We will put our piston here. The piston needs to be rotated, so we can use a couple of resources for that, but this is where I like to get out the supplementaries wrench, because it just does it precisely, at least in my experience. And then a heavy engineering block. And so now we right click on the piston, and that forms our very first metal press. Now the metal press is going to require some molds. It's also going to require some energy. So we can go ahead and hook you up to energy. And the metal press itself can be used for a handful of things. So if we take a look at the metal press molds, you can see that there are about 8 of them. And really there are 4 that I find important. That is the plate, gear, rod, and wire. And what I'm going to go ahead and do, because I'm kind of feeling like being hyper efficient, is let's go ahead and set up all 4 of these together, because I think we've got the resources for everything to do that for. So let's go ahead and do that really quickly. So as I was working on making my molds, I realized that I need the, or as I was working on making the presses rather, I needed to make a new mold so that I could make iron plates a little more easily than using our hammer over here, our mechanical press. So I will make exactly one so that we can keep this short and simple. But what I have found is that the easiest way to do this is to take 3 blue dye, 3 paper, and 1 plate to make a engineer's blueprint for the molds. Now the mold blueprint here is going to require us to basically bend steel plates into various shapes and then cut them down, trim them down with the engineer's wire cutters. And so what we'll do is go ahead and press these here, or at least, well, we can go. We'll do 3 for now. I really want to use our mechanical presses that we're going to be setting up, or sorry, our metal presses. So rather than keeping on using the mechanical press, I just kind of want to take the shortest route possible to get there. We can take our engineer's wire cutters and permanently relocate them anyways, because we're not going to need them. I'm going to grab a little bit of redstone and a little more iron to make some more conveyor belts, because we're going to use conveyor belts to move stuff around. So we'll take another 16 or so of these. Let's also make another chest. I have plans for you, by the way. That crate there won't have to say, or won't sit there forever. I need more gold. So we can do the following. And put the chest there for now. If I take the metal press mold and put it in our table, you'll see the blueprint start to show up. Minus the Z fighting, you can actually see each and every mold that we can make. So all 8 of the ones that we saw here, you can see their stencils out here. And if I put the engineer's wire cutters, and you can see exactly what it's going to require to craft these, and I put 3 plates, I can get ourselves the engineer metal press mold for plates. Now, if I come over here to my metal press and I right-click on the metal press itself, you can see that I can apply that there. And now, if I wanted to make some iron plates, I just do that. And these will all go right into this output chest. And the reason for doing this is, of course, so that we can make more redstone engineering blocks. Because we're going to need 4 of those, or 3 of those really, but still. So if we do this, and then we do, oh, I do need, I believe I have some steel rods. So rather than wasting the resources, I'm just going to go grab them. We're going to need more scaffolding for sure. So we will do this. I think we need exactly 6. So this will be very, very satisfying, not having any waste, at least in my opinion. Oh, and we need pistons. I completely forgot about the pistons. Can pistons be made from deep slate? I think the answer is no, but it changes in every pack that I play. So we'll need 12 and 9. I don't think I have just a single plank in here, so we'll just do that. There we go. And so we can begin setting up the rest of these metal presses. So we will do, of course, our pistons. As mentioned, we'll get the supplementaries wrench out. I believe the engineer's hammer will rotate them, but they only rotate on a single axis, which is kind of annoying. So we could just do that as well. I guess that would make sense. Oh, apparently they don't rotate that way. So yeah, we'll have to use the supplementaries wrench. Makes a nicer sound anyway. And yes, before you ask, they do have to be facing the direction, or facing downwards. That direction does in fact matter, which is why I have to specify, which is slightly annoying, but it's okay. And so now what I'll do is I will link this into you. And we could, do we want to do just one output chest? I mean, I guess we could do that, right? We could just have everything going across the back. That kind of makes sense to me. And so that would just be something like that, right? Everything will follow that path down. And then we can hit all of these with our immersive engineering hammer to form them into their metal presses. Put that guy there. You know, we could really make this cursed and do that. I think that kind of works. And now we just need to get wire connectors hooked up to these, and we will be good to go. I'm going to grab 9 more steel plates using our plate mold so that we can grab ourselves the rest of the molds we need. And the reason that I'm doing this now is because there are gear molds to make gears, because there's no other way to make gears except through those gear molds. And then there are also wire molds, and the wire molds are more efficient than using the engineer's wire cutters, and so that is a motivation to look into this, is to save ourselves a lot of resources as we mess around with the various wires. So, as mentioned, we're going to need more of our wire connectors, so let's go ahead and get some more of those. Just through smelting up some more terracotta. All right, so I got everything wired up. You can see that it's getting to be a little bit spaghetti in here, but it's okay. It's just sort of the state of things, and that's all right. I'm going to go ahead and toss in our lead to get processed. Actually, you know, let's wait on that. I wanted to do that, but I also wanted to make sure that our remaining molds could be created. So we're going to need one for gears, rods, and wires. And what I like to do personally is to, I think I have everything on me to do this as well, so that will be very nice. I have more sticks in here. Is I like to label these with item frames. So what I will do, if I can get get the spread of the recipe done correctly, what I'll do is I'll go through and make an example of each item. That way we know exactly what goes through or what goes on with these recipes and what comes out of these different molds. So for example, we would have a plate. We would have, what are you, a gear? So you need 4. We'd have a rod, which you would need 1. So that's plate, gear, rod. And then for the wire mold, I guess I'm just going to have to use steel, because there are not a lot of other wires out there. If we take a look here in the metal press for these wires, you can see there's aluminum. What is, I didn't even know that lead was one. Lead apparently is a thing. There's aluminum, copper, lead, electrum, and then steel. So yeah, of these, lead kind of confuses me a little bit, but okay. So now we know exactly which ones are which. We can come over here and press stuff up really quickly. We can just dump a bunch on there and call it a day, and everything is nice and wired up. I don't think we'll ever use these so much to the point that we're going to need excess power, or additional power, I should say, but we will most certainly see. Let's see. I truly don't know. So yeah, I think for now though, we have done a whole ton, or at least I have. I know it doesn't really look like it, and I know this episode might come up a little bit short, but it has just been such a chaotically busy day and episode to get everything here done and built and designed and populated, and all the resources, all the clay. I had to hit up a lush cave and basically empty all the clay out on that lush cave. So I think I'm gonna take a break for the day and maybe go relax for a little bit. But I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I'll go ahead and get some of this stuff processing. I might go ahead and also make more water wheels and reproduce our little automatic smelting system with the create fans. I might try to reproduce that a little bit more easily. But in the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.